Hi, Sheilah.
Hi, Maggie.
Thank you for joining me in today's podcast. I just have to say, I'm super excited that I'm talking to you today. Number one, because I think your business is awesome. I think you're awesome. And I think it's awesome that can you tell those listening, where are we right now?
We're in my van.
And
We're in the Call Sheilah spectacle van.
Yes, I love it. We were filming this and recording this inside your Call Sheilah minivan, and I love it. Can you share with the audience a little bit about your business and how you and I got connected?
Sure. So, Call Sheilah, your personal concierge, errands, projects, tasks, and senior move management. So that's the business. And basically what that means is I'm kind of at your service for what tends to be people who have like overwhelming projects, or they just can't get to it. People are busy. People have families, they have ducks, they have dogs, they have jobs, they have homes, they have aging parents. And so you just can't get things done, right? And even if you don't have it, I don't have all of that, but I have a hard time getting stuff done. So that's where my business comes in. We're there to help. And
it's amazing how much people struggle with getting stuff done.
Amazing. I see a lot of people who are like, oh my God, I agonized over this for years, and we help with it in, 6 hours.
Wow.
Or 3 hours.
So can you give an example of some of the tasks that people have called you to help them with?
So I had a client whose adult child, was in a terrible car accident, and she's fine. But he had like 2 tubs, like big oversized tubs of insurance paper that he'd been staring at for months, and it was coming down to the wire. He needed to submit all of the paperwork from the insurance company to the legal team, because there was some of that involved, and he needed to get it manageable. And when I saw that, I was like, oh, this is going to take a really long time. But it was like 4 hours with him, not even. And it was down to a manageable size, shoebox size Tupperware. And that was that. So, and he was able to submit it to the legal team, and then I kind of lost contact. And sometimes I don't follow up and say how to go, because it's personal.
Yeah.
But so that type of thing. And he came to me through a friend who was just diagnosed with brain cancer and who has a house out in the Skodak area, and he needed somebody to coordinate contractors to get out there. So paint the deck and, fix the porch and that kind of thing. So I did that.
So can you share what your tagline is?
Sure. It's the tagline is no errands too small, no task too large. I don't even know the tagline.
Yeah, I think I read it on your van before I came in. Like, basically, you'll do anything. Well, up to a certain degree, within reason. Yeah.
And if I can't do it, or I'll find somebody who can, because I've been in this area for 30 years, but in the last 4 years, I met everyone. I know everyone, and I know how to bring people in.
Yeah. So what's an example? I think you said something like, you don't physically help people move. You recommend a moving company, or so. Can you give an example of like some of the most common? I don't know. Are there common things that people call you for?
Yeah, definitely. I think what's happening for Call Sheilah is, I don't know how this is happening. There's magic in the world, right? So I'm becoming like this logistics person, this solutionist. And so if you're, what's common? I get phone calls from people whose parents have already kind of downsized, and now they're living in a small apartment, but now they're moving into an assisted living.
Okay.
So they call me to kind of manage that small piece, which means my team will go in there and pack up the small stuff. I'll bring in my favorite mover, and then...
Who's your favorite mover?
Man with a van.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So, we partner all the time, and, we'll move them and then unpack them. Make it nice so that the person who's, they're having a transition, a major, profound transition. So I want to make sure they're in there and, they're as set up as they can be, because they're going to be dealing with, emotional stuff.
What's the most bizarre thing you've helped people with?
Bizarre. I guess the most unique is helping the family find the puppy. I've probably talked to you about
Yeah,
that.
you did.
A woman called me. I got this award from the YWCA for Resource for Women, Entrepreneur of the Year, and she saw that. She called me. She said, "Hey, can you help us find a puppy for our family?" And so, I put her through some questions, and then we found a golden doodle, and they're happy as can be. And it was a great client because at the end of it, because I get a lot of pictures of like people's stuff. So this was a cute picture of kids and a dog, and that was good for my website. There was also a woman, a couple who was getting a divorce, and it wasn't pretty. So the lawyer called me to help basically push all of his stuff into a pod because there were some issues and it needed to get out of the house. And
so you make things happen.
Yeah, no questions asked. And while we were there, I brought her in a painter to paint her bathroom.
Okay. Yeah. So people can call you for all sorts of different things. I mean, we're sitting in the parking lot of a assisted living community, and so you're helping your license to help with seniors, or is there like a qualification? Or you're like senior?
Well, so in this instance, a woman who is a power of attorney for one of the residents here called me before the woman, the person who I'm a companion for, let's say, she was living on her own. She needed to be moved. So I packed her up. She was a minimalist, thank God, because I had to pack her up like in 4 hours. So we packed her up. I had to take pictures of everything in the drawers and put it back exactly the same way to the extent that I could do that in a different space. Did that. And then the power of attorney asked me to stay on and take her out to dinner and go to doctor's visits with her. So I do that. And as far as the credentials are concerned, I'm a friend. I'm a friend, and if something happens, I call 911. That's never happened. She's perfectly healthy, just aging issues. But so I see her a couple times a week. I have another gentleman like that. I call it companion work. He buys a package from me, and he calls me every couple of days and says, "Can you bring me a bag of cough drops?" Or bags of M&Ms now are the thing. And there's another gentleman in this same facility in Albany who has me bring a gallon of vodka every once in a while. So,
all sorts of
all
things.
sorts of needs.
Yes.
No questions asked.
So I know you have such an interesting career. Like your background is very, very, I don't know, like in the realm of like social justice and everything. And so like what led you, like briefly talk about your background and your career and like what led you to Call Sheilah?
Okay. Good question. So what led me to Call Sheilah? I'll try to keep it short, but
okay.
When I was a kid, my parents were not very, they weren't very, they were inept at a lot of things. Great parents, did the best they could. But I was always like the parentified kid. So I was always making sure that they were okay and kind of just nervously making sure, because it's a rough job for a 5-year-old, a 10-year-old. And then by the time I got to be like 16, 18, all of those like gifts, all those burdens became skills and gifts. And then, as an adult, people would call me and they'd be like, "Hey, can you help us with this?" And it'd be like, "Yeah, just call Sheilah, she'll do it." So that's how Call Sheilah actually tangibly became a thing. But my career has always been like in nonprofit land.
Okay.
And I'm a person who is, I know now, I'm 54, so I know now like fairness and justice are a thing. And they go hand in hand, because injustice is not fair.
Yeah.
And I've always worked in nonprofits where the mission is, to somehow facilitate fairness and justice for people who are not getting that, and they should
equality.
Right. And equality and justice are two different things. So my last job was working on LGBTQ advocacy and marriage equality and anti-discrimination for transgender and gender nonconforming people, and all things related to that. Those are the two things that people think about most, but there's a lot of horrific homelessness and hate crimes and violence against that community or my community. And so that's where I worked. And in the middle of it, it started to become really clear that every job I've ever been in, after 2 or 3 years, I was like, oh God, I don't like that, like I don't, and it turns out like it wasn't so much the workplace setting, it was me. I was not cut out for 9 to 5. I'm cut out for sitting in a van talking to you and, getting stuff done. So
I love what you said. You're like, I don't work 24/7, but I'll work anytime.
I work anytime. I just don't work all the time.
Yeah.
Because people, want to see me on a Sunday. I have a lot of clients that, if I'm helping them with something, they have to work.
Yeah.
So sometimes has to be after work.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So did I answer your question?
Yeah. And then I'm just curious, or maybe those listening are curious of like, what brought you from working on marriage equality to Call Sheilah, people asking for no task too small, no errand, too large.
Right. So I wanted to start this business. I've always wanted to have my own business. I mean, I have my best friend from high school. I've known her for 47 years or whatever it is. She said, I always pictured you running your own business. This is great. And I did too. But so after we passed marriage equality and, trans rights were still on the table and the anti-discrimination bill just passed, yay. Let me back up a second. So I had tried to start this business in 2005, but something tragic happened in my family, and I just didn't have the personality for it. I was, not well. So, and then in 2015, it was just time because I was at like the precipice of like, all right, the next step for me in nonprofit land was to see if I could get an executive director job in a small nonprofit, and I really didn't want that. Yeah. So it was either get a new job, something completely different, and change everything. And if I was going to change everything, then I just took the risk, and here's Call Sheilah. Because I tried 10 years ago, and it didn't work out because I didn't have what it took. And this time I did. And I met the right people, and, things worked out really well.
Talk to me about your van. For someone who's a personal concierge, obviously a vehicle like this is needed because you're probably loading this up all the time with stuff for people. And so like, how did the van come about, and tell us the story about that.
Sure. So it really was like a kind of a selfish thing. I started to realize that there are going to be times when I'm helping somebody with downsizing that there's a lot of stuff that has to leave the house. Yeah. One of the goals in the downsizing is to make sure people, get a clear space when I leave. So we take the stuff to the extent that that's possible. And I was just making my car a mess. So started looking for a vehicle, and I called a friend of mine who's a used car salesman, and I said, what can I get for like, X $1,000s? And he goes, how old are you? Because it was a really low number. And, when I was 18, maybe I could have done that. Yeah. So I kind of went off of it for a while and figured I couldn't afford it yet. And I kept checking his website. And, but he said to me, he goes, for that money, you're going to get a beat up, old, rusted out, 200,000 mile truck or van. And you don't really want that in our area. So I backed off of it. I kept checking his website. And one day I saw this red van on his website, and I called him up, and it was in the price range, a little bit higher, but I realized I had to come up a little bit. I called him up and I said, what's with the red van? And he said, I was just going to call you. It's perfect for you. It is a 2001 Ford Windstar with 40,000 miles, and it lived in Tennessee, so there's no rust. Wow. So I was like, all right, I'll take it. And we hooked that up. I mean, it was probably 3 weeks from phone call to final loan and that kind of thing. It's all paid off now because it was a really good deal. And
you had it wrapped with your
I had it wrapped with my logo and my bird and my Call Sheilah and my tagline, which I can't remember, which I'm really embarrassed about. So and now it's kind of a spectacle. I mean, it really
it is. We're gonna have show notes. Okay. So we're gonna have photos, and there's gonna be a video of this podcast. You have to see the van.
Okay. Yeah, it's a cool van, and the cool thing about it was fabricated for this gentleman who was like a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, and he didn't need the van anymore. But there's no seats in the back, so it's all cargo, and up front is like command central. I have everything I need. Yeah. So
and you didn't need the seats, right?
No. If I had seats, I'd have to transport people.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that.
No, I just want to run around and take care of tasks and projects and stuff.
I can't tell you how many times I've seen you like drive by somewhere like in a parking lot, and it's like it really makes a statement. I think it's it's kind of like how I used to have a red Mini Cooper when people would see me driving by. It's like that. I used to call my car my avatar, like the movie Avatar. I feel like this van is like your avatar because it's got, it embodies your business so perfectly. So, can you talk about a common misconception that people may have about Call Sheilah?
So, well, I'm trying to lean into it because the errands, projects, and tasks, the thing I get asked about a lot is the downsizing and the professional organizing, and in part, Google Business, like there's no slot for a personal concierge.
Yeah.
So I put myself in there as a professional organizer. So I'm getting calls, and that's fine. I mean, I do that. But so not so much the misconception, because I do senior move management. It's on the van, and I definitely embrace that. But the errands, projects, and tasks are the things of like, I really want people to think about, like, what do I have in my life that I'm not getting to? I mean, I have like 3 projects of my own personal right now that I need help with. I would call Sheilah if I could. So I'm gonna get an assistant. But it's like it's those types of projects.
Yeah.
Whether they're like, oh, I have 6,000 business cards, I want them in a spreadsheet,
Okay.
or, I have.
Oh, that's a good one.
Right? I mean, small businesses need help, but they don't necessarily need a person for hours a week. So it's just bring in Call Sheilah and, get it done and then see you later and then call me in 3 months. I've helped with, I did some wedding coordination. I wouldn't call myself a wedding planner because I think I'm colorblind, so I can't help with a lot of it. But I'm a showrunner, so I can get things done.
Well, you can call the venues. You can arrange like pickups and like for a wedding. I can picture you helping like the week of the wedding, making sure that everything's arriving and like the cake's being done and like the flowers are being picked up. And the suits and the dress and everything. Like that's the type of stuff that can help ease people's anxieties as they're preparing for a big event, so they don't have to like making sure if you have divorced parents they're not in the same hotel or like because that actually happened at my wedding. And so it's like like those kinds of things you want to make sure. So I can that's cool.
Yeah, I did a memorial service for somebody whose mom passed away, so it was like there was this thing out in Bern, New York, a lot of logistics. So it was really cool. Yeah.
What is, and I might have asked you this earlier, but what is a question that you get asked a lot, like all the time, the most common question?
I think the most common question is like, what would I use you for? And then when I start talking, and like your face is doing it right now, people are like, oh yeah, I never thought of that. So, my job as a salesperson, which I'm not great at, is to like help people think about what would you use me for? I know you have stressful things in your house. When you walk by them, you're like, oh my God, right? That's the thing,
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think about someone right now where I just want to like buy a dumpster and bring it into their front yard and just toss everything in it, but that's stressful. Have you been seeing a lot of your business increase a little bit since the Marie Kondo cleanup and the Netflix special?
I think yes and no. People talk about it a lot, but then they get scared off of it's a commitment. I mean, I'm not a magician. I've had a couple of clients like this who are like, yeah, we don't care, just get it out of here. And I don't put it in a dumpster. I don't put it in a landfill. I call like the J-Dog guys and we work together and we get it done. And they donate to veterans and their families and what have you. So and the value of having me there is that they don't even have to deal with it. I just bring in the partners and you can just go about your life. People want to downsize. Everybody's got too much stuff, but it's a commitment and there's a financial investment in doing that. Because if you said to me, just deal with it, that's not that expensive. But if I am with you for 3 hours a week or twice a week and we're sorting through your stuff, it's a financial, emotional, spiritual investment because you're going through your stuff. So there's all kinds of, emotions and attachments and that kind of thing. And
how do you work with somebody who's just, the extreme example, but a hoarder, somebody who just cannot part with their things? That's an emotional thing.
Really, really challenging, and I don't do that alone. I try to bring somebody with me who's got, I have compassion, but there are skills involved. So to be quite honest, I've worked with 2 people who kind of fall into that category, and I honestly don't think I help them. So I try not to do it. I try to refer that out because I also I know my limitations, and I can see something and be like, oh yeah, this will be a great contract, but I want to help that person.
Yeah.
That's my brand. I'm not trying to just move your stuff all over the house and then get paid.
Yeah.
I want to help you, and hoarders are hard.
Yeah. Yeah, and they take a bit of it's almost like a
Totally.
psychological investment with them too.
Because when they see things leaving the house, they need care because it's trauma.
Yeah.
So
yeah. What type of? I know you talked about the puppy and everything, but has there been one particular client or customer that sticks out in your mind that's like, man, if I could work with somebody like this more, this would be amazing? Or do you like the fact that everybody's different?
I love that everybody's different. I really do. I mean, I have a couple of favorites things that I've done, and
you have a lot of ongoing long-term projects too, right?
Definitely.
So it's not just 3 hours for 1 week and then, but I know you've talked about how you've worked with people for months and months, and so it's a regular. They're in your schedule for that.
Yeah, for as long as they need me. And a lot of people, they get attached, so they start thinking about other things that they can bring me in for. But I mean, I worked with one woman for 9 months.
Yeah,
every week.
Yeah,
so it was great.
Yeah, that's crazy. When someone calls Sheilah, I love that. I love that your business is Call Sheilah. So when someone calls Sheilah, what is a question that they should be asking you?
God, that's such a good question, Maggie. What is a question they should be asking me? They should be asking, what types of errands, projects, and tasks. And they should be asking me specifics about, what they think they need. And it's not so much what they should be asking, but be prepared to tell me what's causing you stress. I don't mean my partner is this and that. That's not my gig, but what is the project and what's your end goal? So I wouldn't so much be questions for me, but be prepared to talk about what is it you think you want. What's the end? Because I'm great at okay, what's the end, and now I'll create the recipe,
the logistical steps. Yeah, because I think a lot of people have that end goal. They I'll speak for myself. I have many goals, and I can see the finish line, but the 50 steps in between is what trips me up and prevents me from getting there.
Totally. And we'll go just back to the wedding for a second. I did this wedding coordination for these 2 women, and I can see all of the needs. I mean, it's not that hard. I mean, you could Google it too, but people need a person. So when I said I'm colorblind, I can't necessarily pick the color of your flowers, but I know the best florist for your thing. So I can see all of that. And one of the things that happened with her was that she wasn't going to have her father wasn't so keen on the same-sex marriage thing. And she said, well, I'm not really going to ask him to do the first dance. And I was like, you have to ask him. You have to. And after that, that was the biggest thing I did for them, because not only did he want to dance with his daughter, but he wanted to dance with his future daughter-in-law too. And it was a beautiful thing. It was a really beautiful thing. So she was so grateful for that. Everything else I did was really cool, but that was the best thing.
That was the most memorable.
Most memorable, most important thing.
That's really cool. Yeah. Random, switching gears. What do you typically do for lunch?
It's a good question. So as a solo entrepreneur, probably anybody watching this who has a hustle like mine can relate. Food is definitely becoming a challenge. Having that balance of breakfast, lunch, dinner, and I had a nutritionist once tell me, don't eat in your car. So
guilty.
Yeah.
Every other day.
Right. When you have careers like
Ate
ours.
in the car on the way here.
Yeah, absolutely. So a lot of times I'll stop at the co-op and try and sit down and eat in there. So that's pretty typical. Goals, I would like to be the person who brings lunch. At least if I'm eating it in the car, I didn't spend $12 on it, So that's a goal.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I've had that struggle too in my business. packing my lunch and making sure that I'm stepping away from my desk and not eating in front of my computer, which is like so hard to do. Totally. It's really a challenge.
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Do it, because now I'm speaking as like a person. I mean, we're all aging, but now I'm at a point in my life where like I can, things are happening, and your body and your mind and your spirit and everything's connected, and I can feel how important that is.
Yeah.
Whereas 2 years ago I still felt invincible. I don't feel that way anymore. I feel like I need to really take care of this. And
and you're a caregiver.
Exactly.
So to speak. So you got to care for yourself.
Yeah. Well, one of my clients said something to me about, when social workers have, they do their thing, they're caregivers, and they have supervision so that they can go and talk to their supervisors and talk about the stuff that they're taking in. Because this client said to me, she goes, "You're in the messiness of people's lives." I mean, in 3 months, I had 3 widows downsizing, getting rid of the husband's suits and the husband's fishing gear. And so, that was traumatic, and I'm taking that in, and then I'm supposed to go home and be like, hey puppies, So I do have a couple of people in my life who I love who act like that for me, so I can talk about it.
That's good. That's a good, I'm glad you brought that up, because I don't think a lot of people talk about, especially in a business like yours where people depend on you a lot, and it's good to have that person that you can go to and like no judgment, just kind of lay it all down and just be like, hey, we'll just love you and care for you where you're at.
Yeah, everybody's got to have that.
Yeah. So as we're wrapping up, is there anything else that you want people to know about you or your business?
Yeah, so the business is definitely growing. I'm so grateful. I feel very, I'm in the kind of enviable, I guess somebody said to me, enviable position of, having business and having to expand. So the expand part is, scary for solo entrepreneurs. And, but I do have a team of folks. So it is Call Sheilah. My name is on the business. So I, everybody's vetted, and, but there is a team of people, and, we're growing a little bit. So you may not get Sheilah Sable, but you'll definitely get Call Sheilah.
But you'll get somebody who's been vetted by you.
Absolutely. And somebody who, is going to follow my, my passion and my delivery of service, with the same mission that I have, So
where can people find you online?
All the handles and social media.
Okay. So callsheilah.com, and Sheilah is Sheilah. Facebook, Instagram. Sheilah Sable's on Twitter, but that's a completely different thing.
Okay.
I don't even use Twitter for my business at all, but you can find me. What else is there? LinkedIn.
Okay.
And I'm looking for a good social media person, because I'm doing all that back end stuff, and just, I don't know if we have time for this, but as a solo person, servicing your own business is one of the most stressful things, especially if you're servicing a lot of clients.
Yeah.
So
if you're listening and you're really good at social media, you should call Sheilah and
hit me up.
See if she and you would be a good fit. So all your handles are Call Sheilah, like Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. It's all Call Sheilah.
Twitter, no, LinkedIn. Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn.
Sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And all of those we'll put in the show notes. So for people who are listening here or watching, they can visit and get all your handles and directly to your site. So we'll have that in the show notes.
Excellent.
Cool.
Thank you. All right, this was so much fun.
This was amazing.
Really
I love
this. Good idea
this.
talking to my van.
favorite one so far.
Yay! All right, thank you.
Thanks, Sheilah. That was Sheilah Sable, owner and founder of Call Sheilah, your personal concierge. To book an appointment with Sheilah, go to CALLSHEILAH.com or visit our show notes at workinglunchpod.com for more information on her business. Follow us on Instagram and like us on Facebook. We're at Working Lunch Pod. And if there's someone who you would like to be featured as a guest, please email us at workinglunchpod@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from you. Thank you so much for listening to Working Lunch. Don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review. And remember, your biggest strength is who you are.